Welcome to OSSB Inside and Out, a podcast about staff member and alumni experiences at the Ohio State School for the Blind. Each week, we interview someone from the Ohio State School for the Blind about their experiences. Now here's your host, Brendon Hamblin.
Welcome back to another episode of the OSSB Inside and Out podcast. This week, we've got Madison Kupsky, former student of the Ohio State School for the Blind. How are you doing today, Maddie?
I'm doing great. How about you?
I'm doing just fine. So, you started at OSSB your what grade year?
In the middle of my fourth grade year. I think it was towards the end of it.
Cool. So you had a little bit of time at the school and to have fun and get your education.
Yeah.
So, what are some of your favorite memories from the school?
Well, one of the first that comes to mind is I'm not sure if it was, or I don't remember if it was during a gym class or a swim practice, but we had a couple of divers come in to the school, and they taught us about their job and like what they did. And then they brought a bunch of their equipment with them and let us try it on, and then we got to swim around the pool with the equipment, the mask and the oxygen tank. It was just really fun to learn about that particular job, and it was a cool experience because I'm sure not many people get to do that.
I'm sure not many people get to do it either. That was the scuba divers, correct?
Yeah.
That was a gym class at the pool, because I remember that too.
I think all gym classes that day got to do it.
If I remember right, I'm pretty sure, because that seems about something that Mr. Peterfish and I think at the time Miss Brewer would have done, so.
Yeah.
Any other memories that come to mind or stick out?
I really enjoyed getting to travel to the other states' blind schools during sports competitions for a few reasons, because it allowed us, the students as a team, to like grow closer together, get to know each other better. And once we got to the school, that the competition was for that weekend, we enjoyed exploring that school's campus together because it was something new, and getting to meet other visually impaired students from the other blind schools that were there for the sports as well.
Right. And that was from multiple different states, so you got to meet quite a lot of different people.
Yeah.
I wasn't in sports, but that much I do know. Let's see. What have you been doing since leaving OSSB? What have you been up to since you've left?
So I left OSSB after my freshman year and transferred back to my home school and finished out high school there. And recently, last year in 2019, graduated from my home school. And I'm still doing classes at a technical school for hopefully help boost my skills for a career when I'm done.
Cool. What's one of the saddest experiences you've had at the school? Or are there any?
For me personally, I don't, nothing comes to mind as like a sad experience. Maybe except for having like some of our favorite teachers retire.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, other than those people retiring, I'd say for me personally, there's not really any sad experiences because I felt like all of the staff like just gave off a positive energy and helped make everybody's day like a positive day, or like helped bring people up if they were having a bad day. So it was just like if I was having a bad day, I just went to OSSB and the teachers just somehow magically helped turn it into a good day.
The overall experience and family feeling that we talked about in the last episode made you warm up and get all happy again, right?
Yeah, I liked how close everybody in the school was, students and staff, and you could just feel like you could talk to anybody.
I 100% agree. Were you in like graphics or vocational or any of those classes?
I wasn't in graphics. I did want to do that class, but I transferred to my home school before I did take that class. But it sounded really fun to be able to make all those cool things. And I don't remember if I was I don't think I was in a vocational class. I took the regular home ec class that everybody takes.
Right. That's mandatory for us anyways, or for students at OSSB anyways.
Yeah, but other than that, I don't think I took the vocational or catering class.
Not a lot of students did, I would think, but that's all right. Nothing wrong with that. Any band memories that stick out?
Yeah, I have a few. My first year in the OSSB marching band, we got to march with the OSU marching band during one of their halftime performances. And that was like one of the best days of my life, like just getting to experience that and not something that not very many people will get to experience. And walking into that stadium, like at the beginning of the game, like just hearing hundreds of thousands of people like cheering for us, just for the game, and it was awesome. I won't ever forget that day.
It was definitely overwhelming with all of the noise. That may be the loudest crowd I believe we've ever performed for, which is good.
Yeah,
because they gave us the energy, we gave it right back to them. So
yeah,
that's how it works. Any other band memories or sporting memories or memories of OSSB in general that you have that you'd like to share?
The other band memory that comes to mind is the year after we marched with OSU, we traveled to Washington, D.C. for the Memorial Day Parade.
Yes, we did. That was fun.
Oh, yeah. That whole trip was just amazing because we were in a new city that most of us had never been to before. We got to just explore the city, like see all these different museums and go on different tours and just marching in the parade itself was incredible as well. Like the whole trip was probably like the whole trip was really fun and interesting. And another part of that trip that comes to mind, I think it was at the JFK Memorial. I don't remember the memorial, but there was a wall that had a famous quote on it, and it had giant Braille in it, and it had the same quote in Braille underneath the quote that was on the wall in print. And I remember all of the students who went on this trip took turns going down the line and trying to read this giant Braille,
right.
And, yeah, and a few of the students caught a few spelling mistakes in the quote, which I found very funny.
I remember one of them. I think it was supposed to be an O and they put an M or something like that. I'm not exactly sure what it was supposed to be, but I think it was an M.
Yeah, I don't remember the quote, but I just remember a lot of the students talked about that for a while, was that there was a few spelling mistakes.
That was one of the major talks from that trip. I think it even made it into the slideshow that we made, or that we presented to the rest of the school when we got back, if I remember right.
When the whole band did that presentation for the school. Yeah.
I think that photo of that particular spelling mistake made it in there. Knowing Miss Agler, she would have put it in there. Let's see. Any other band or sporting or OSSB in general memories that you have, like field trips or what have you?
I don't have any more specific memories that come to mind at the moment, but just my whole experience at OSSB with the band and sports and just in general for daily classes was a positive one, and I'm glad that I got the chance to attend OSSB because it helped change my life. Because coming from a public school where I was constantly being bullied by other students, the teachers didn't understand why I needed large print or why I needed to sit at the front of the classroom, and going to a place where all the other students, every other student was exactly like me. We all understood that we couldn't see as well or at all, and that we didn't have to explain to anybody why we were doing certain things differently or traveling with a weird colored stick to feel the ground. And it was just a great experience overall, and I really enjoyed it.
I did too. I would go back in a heartbeat and do it all over again if I could.
Yeah.
Because it's just that kind of environment you want to stay in for as long as you can and don't want to leave.
That's very true.
What advice would you give to upcoming students who may think they're scared or who may be scared or nervous about changing schools, like going from public school to OSSB or public school to another blind school, for those who are listening out of state and who may have a blind school in their state? What advice would you give them?
I would say just start with going on a tour and observing for a day to see if that would be something that you would be interested in, because the blind school is not. It is a special, like, it is an awesome place for any visually impaired student, but for some people it might not be the right fit for them. So I would say start with going on a tour, observing a few times, and seeing if you or like the family enjoys and feels welcome in that community. And I would say it doesn't hurt to check it out. And if you're scared, you don't be. It's an awesome community, and everybody will be welcoming, and everybody in the school would be very happy to have a new student or family join that school with them.
Good advice. I would give pretty much the same advice. Anything else you want to add?
Not for that part. No, I don't have anything else.
That's all right. Anything else in general from your time at OSSB you'd like to add, or what have you?
No, I think most of my memories kind of just have blurred together at this point, other than like some of the band trips and sports events that we've done that stand out more.
Right. Understandable. I'm at that point too, so. And you weren't residential, correct? Because you live in the Columbus vicinity, Columbus area, right?
I was not residential. I was a day student, so I just came in on the bus every morning and went back to my house every evening after school, unless it was for sports practices, which I would stay after school for, and then a family member, like a parent or a grandparent, would come and pick me up and take me back to my house in the evening.
I didn't think you were residential, so I just couldn't hurt to ask, so
yeah.
Makes for good content. I'm thinking if there's anything else, unless there's anything else you'd like to add, that I think we'll call this one a podcast.
Since I did transfer out of OSSB in the middle of high school, back to my home school, I did notice like huge differences between OSSB and my home school, and one of those biggest differences was the size of the school. Like OSSB has maybe roughly 130 students.
I'd agree.
Yeah, like
120 to 130
senior year.
Yep, kindergarten through senior year. Yep.
Yeah, there's not very many students, but like as soon as I walked into my home school, there was like 10 times that amount of students, and it was very overwhelming to go from a very small school where I knew everybody to going to a school where I knew nobody, and it like being so much larger. It was just really overwhelming. So I remember going through the hallways and trying to make myself as small as possible because of all the crowds, and I didn't like the crowds.
I can imagine. I'm not a big crowd person either, so I get what you mean. Since you brought that up, what other challenges did you face switching from OSSB to a regular public school? Or back to a regular public school, as the case may be in your case?
I noticed that there was a larger variety of classes to take. For example, at OSSB, they only offer Spanish to take as your foreign language, but at my public school they offer Spanish and French and German and Chinese and a whole variety of different languages that you could take to instead of just Spanish, and I found that really fascinating because not everybody was learning the same thing, and so it made for more interesting conversations between different people who were taking a different language or taking different science classes, and
right, more variety.
Yeah. And I also noticed with the classes that they were a lot harder. The curriculum was a lot harder and more fast-paced than the curriculum at OSSB, which makes sense. At OSSB, they work at the student's pace, which
correct.
There's nothing wrong with that. Everybody learns at a different pace. But one of the biggest things that I struggled with was getting used to that faster pace and turning in work on time and just keeping up with the material in general is one of the biggest differences I had noticed as well.
I can definitely understand that. I had something and then I lost it again. I hate when that happens.
Me too.
Never fun. Dang it. Anything else? Any other challenges or anything else that was different from switching to OSSB to public school? Or was that about it?
I think that was basically about it, other than the stuff that I had already mentioned, and the school itself was a lot larger than OSSB, so getting used to a whole new school and the layout of the school and navigating through the crowds.
And refamiliarizing yourself with where everything is now because you're in a different environment.
Yeah.
Speaking of different languages, did you know that OSSB hasn't always taught Spanish? They used to teach French.
Really?
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, way back in the day, I believe they taught French instead of Spanish, but I could be getting my memories mixed up, so...
Yeah.
But I think I'm right. I think they...
That still sounds cool, though.
Very cool, yes. So what are some of the opportunities that OSSB has given you since you've started and since left?
I'd say joining the marching band was a huge thing for me because I felt if I hadn't gone to OSSB, I probably wouldn't be in marching band or have learned to play a musical instrument in general. And so I'm very happy about that I got the opportunity to learn how to play an instrument, got to join a marching band and all the different experiences we got to do. And one of them was coming from the after we had marched at OSU with the OSU marching band. One of their previous band directors from OSU, Dr. Drosty, he reached out to OSSB and got in contact with me because he heard about my dream of joining the OSU marching band, and he reached out to the school and offered to give me lessons to help me prepare for the OSU marching band. And so he eventually, it took a while to coordinate because he's very busy. But once we got it coordinated, about once a week he would come down to OSSB and give me a private lesson to help improve my skills as a musician, which has definitely helped. And we still keep in touch occasionally, and I still ask him questions about how I can improve certain things about playing my instrument and how I can improve just in general as like marching wise or playing wise.
That's good that you...
Yeah, I definitely have to thank OSSB for help getting me started in the path of music, and I would definitely wouldn't be a musician if I hadn't joined OSSB.
OSSB is just an overall amazing place, as we've talked about in this podcast, and definitely in the last podcast.
Yeah.
And I can't emphasize that enough, that it's an amazing place. So...
Can't even say it enough sometimes.
Exactly.
People just have to see it for themselves to be able to fully understand the whole, like, the family aspect, the friendly atmosphere, and just everything about it. Like, we could go on for hours and hours and still not be able to cover everything.
Exactly. I agree. All right. I think I am done with questions. Anything else you'd like to add, or are you out of stuff too?
I can't exactly think of anything else to say at the moment, but it was very nice to be on this podcast, and I hope people out there who aren't necessarily a part of the community are listening to this, and I hope that they just start thinking about these and realizing that I hope more people start to realize that even though people are different, like, that we can still do everything that a sighted person can do. We might have to do it a little differently or a little bit slower, but we can still find a way to achieve those goals.
Exactly. Showing the abilities of those with disabilities is what we're doing, essentially.
Yeah.
Proving that we can do what anybody else can do. All right. I think that will do it for this episode. Thanks so much for coming on, Maddie.
Thanks for having me. It was awesome.
I'm glad you had fun. Until next time, bye for now.
That's all, folks.
Thanks for joining us this week on OSSB Inside and Out. Make sure to follow us on social media on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter by searching for OSSB Inside and Out Podcast. Make sure you don't miss any future episodes. You can find us on all the major podcast platforms. Thank you for listening.